Family, we are live. And as you can see, I have someone really special with me today. I don't want to say special because, we talk about not having special relationships in the course, right? Someone who is dear and near to my heart that I love, my sweetie, my sister, my friend, my butt kicker when necessary. Reverend Danielle Randall. Reverend Danielle is here. Reverend Danielle, introduce yourself. I call her Danielle. Y'all call her Reverend Danielle or by her sacred name.
Thank you, my sister Val. I love you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you. It's always so beautiful when we get together. I'm Reverend Danielle, and I am the founder of Authorized Love and One Belief a Day, two organizations that support people in living in the spirit of compassion and elevating consciousness at the core of who you are. So I'm just thrilled to be here.
I love it. So since you're here, can I put you to work? Of
Yeah.
course, I know the answer to that. I've been knowing you for umpteen years, family. This is one of the 10 line sisters, the 10 of us that you hear me talk about a lot. And one is in heaven realms. Thank you, Mary, for being with us, Reverend Mary. There are 9 of us on this plane and one up there. And she's one of us. And we came through, our line came through 4 years of the only thing I can describe it as the most radical transformation ever, that if I had not experienced it, I wouldn't be before you now, the way I am, the way I get to show up every day. So we've been through a lot together for years.
Yes. And it
Yes,
continues.
years. Oh my goodness, the best ever. So we have sisters that we're just together forever, whether we talk all the time. And when we do talk, it's just like, bam, 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 bam. We were on that Zoom the other day talking for how many hours? I don't know. It was just bam, 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 bam.
I think it was 3.
Oh, 3 hours. Girl. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna let you pray us in then. Sound good?
You bet. So let's take a deep breath together and another nice deep breath in and let it go. And one more for good measure. Most divine and Holy Spirit, Creator God of all there is, we gather here today in celebration of your love, your gifts, your will, and the beauty that is each of us individually. We thank you, God, for our beloved sister, Valerie Love, who brings us here together every day to celebrate our relationship with you. And so may this time be blessed. May those blessings spill out into the day and ripple out through our worlds. We love you, God. We praise you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I miss your prayers. Thank you for blessing me. I miss your prayers. Yeah. I don't know why I got emotional, but I love it. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful.
Thank
All
you.
right. We're going to go on screen share and we're going to get into this lesson. This is lesson 307 in a course in miracles. You want to read it, sis? Or you want me to? What do you want to do?
I can read it at that size.
Okay. That's too big.
So today we are in lesson 307. Conflicting wishes cannot be my will. I'm going to read it again. Conflicting wishes cannot be my will. Father, your will is mine, and only that. There is no other will for me to have. Let me not try to make another will, for it is senseless and will cause me pain. Let me not try to make another will. for it is senseless and will cause me pain. I mean, truly, we could end there.
I mean,
Your will,
I felt it. Like, yes.
like, short stop, don't move.
Mm,
Your will alone can bring me happiness, and
mm,
only yours exists. If I would have what only you can give, I must accept your will for me and enter into peace where conflict is impossible. I think that's an important point. Enter into peace where conflict is impossible. Your Son is one with you in being and in will, and nothing contradicts the holy truth that I remain as you created me. And with this prayer, we enter silently into a state where conflict cannot come, because we join our holy will with God's in recognition that they are the same.
mm. Ooh, what say you about that, sis? What say you? Mm,
What Say Me is a personal state that I have truly lived into. And in short, it is my peace is not negotiable.
mm,
And I say that because where it states, enter into peace where conflict is impossible, God's will is peace for us. And when we find ourselves in conflict or in suffering or in confusion or in any of the states of being where peace is not available to us, the only path to peace is to enter into God's will.
well, what is
And
that? What is God's will? When you say that, what do you mean?
I mean living in a state of alignment with the truth. So God's will doesn't argue with reality. God's will doesn't, right? It doesn't. It doesn't argue with what is. It's acceptance. God's will is the principle in law. That's God's will. I think we interpret God's will often to be something other than ourselves or our will. I think we often interpret God's will to be some extreme directive, some arbitrary, set of instructions that we seem to not be able to grasp. But I believe that God's will is perfect peace, that God's will is perfect love, that God's will is the embodiment of the principle in law that we subscribe to as the way to live. And when we join our will with principle in law, God's will, like the law of cause and effect, in its most simple form, every cause has an effect, equal and opposite. And so if we're in an opposite reaction or experience, we can choose to opt into a different effect. So resistance is where I believe God's will and my will wrestle, struggle, right? The resistance to peace, the resistance to love, the resistance to beauty,
Mhm.
oneness, being. And so for me, God's will is the law and principle embodied in me, because God's will doesn't change. It's the same all the time. If we had one of these gods that was flippant or moody or any other of the characteristics that we attribute to a person, it would be very difficult to find God's will, at least for me.
How is it that you can live with where conflict is impossible, and experience this peace. You have a husband, you have a house, you have a son, you have businesses, you have a ministry, you have clients. How can you have all of that and experience peace where conflict is impossible?
Okay, so here's a powerful example. The only person who is responsible for my peace is me. So when I no longer live at the effect of the external causes, I do have all those things. That doesn't mean that they don't offer me opportunities or conditions to opt out of peace. Peace is not complacent, it's not weak, it's not soft in a sense. It's like I'm not any less me in my state of peace. In truth, I can be taking a stand, holding a boundary in a state of peace. So it doesn't look silent. It doesn't look like I've been steamrolled. What it looks like is I'm clear that my peace is not negotiable. So I'm not attached to how this looks, what is happening, or where it's going. What I'm clear about is that there's no conflict if I'm not in conflict.
Mm. Say that again for the people in the back. There's no conflict if I'm not in conflict.
That is true. I haven't found anything more true.
Hmm.
There's a sister to that. When does the suffering end? Without whatever the condition is. And the answer for me is it ends when I end it. And that's
So,
a, no,
keep
I'm
on.
saying, and for me, that's a direct tie to if my peace is not negotiable, I can opt into suffering or not, which I dissolve the conflict. And I don't have to agree with everyone to resolve the conflict. I don't have to like everything to resolve the conflict. I've taken all the conditions off of what I need, right, to accept your will for me. If I would have what only you can give, I must accept your will for me and enter into peace where conflict is impossible. God said, I am peace. So I am peace wherever I am. That's on me. The conflict comes when I look at God and say, you've disrupted my peace by bringing this situation or this condition into my life. You've
Well, that's
disrupted my love.
yeah, that's what we were kind of conditioned to believe.
Yes. And I, for me, find it a worthy work to say to myself, my peace is not negotiable. And I'll tell you something else about that. God's will, right, as truth. When I think about truth, I think about something that's unchanging, that the state of peace is always available to us. We can opt in or out of it. It's always there. Just like the state of love is always there. That does not change, right? And I'm not necessarily speaking on romantic love, but I am speaking of the highest love. So if it's always there and it's unchanging, where does it go when I change?
Nowhere.
Well, it dawned on me that it doesn't go anywhere. And that the only thing that's changed is that essentially I've left the building. I've left the building of peace. I've left the building of love. And I've truly took the option B.
Mm.
And it doesn't require anything from me except a shift in perception, which is what A Course in Miracles teaches us, to opt back in.
Mm. So I have a question. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember when you and I had that conversation years ago about God being dead, some big dude in the sky and all that, and the sort of the terrifying proposition that God is not a person? That was terrifying for me coming up as a Christian. What is God. So you say God, right? And God's will. So what are people to take from this? Some sky gods. Like when people hear God, like we were talking in that conversation, that is such a loaded word that people, we go a lot of places when we hear the word God. So when you say God, what are you talking
In its simplest form, life. I've neutralized the idea that life could be anything but God.
about?
We say universe, and that's good if it works for you. But for me, beyond the universe is life. Like life that is fluid, that is ever present, that the only thing you can guarantee is if you're born in this physical reality, you're going to die. Like life, the only absolute, right? Energy as life, as an unchanging, it's just an unchangeable form. You can be in some other form of energy, but you're not changing from energy. Everything is energy. Science proves that. So for me, God is life. God is life. God is love. God is it here. It all for me is available when I, again, let go of the idea that I need a boss. See,
Mm.
God's will, right? This whole God's will thing gets confusing because
Yeah,
God's will,
yeah.
right? Has it been held over you? Because I was raised Christian or Catholic, whatever version of that. And God's will is usually the stick. It's not the carrot, it's the
Mm.
stick. And it's been held over us for so long that, like, if you step left, you could be out of God's will. That's terrifying. If you are creative outside of what God wants for you, you've done something that could bring on the wrath. I mean, it's literally terrifying. God's will for your life has been used as a weapon.
Mhm.
But I don't see it that way anymore.
Mhm.
If God's will is peace, why the hell would he be using it against me like a weapon? That's insane. If God's will is love, why would he withhold it from me and make it so elusive and hard to grasp? That doesn't make sense to me anymore.
Mhm.
So life doesn't withhold from the grass and the trees. I'm a nature girl. And if I can't pray it to the trees and to the grass, I'm not praying it.
Come on.
And that's just the way it's become for me because I see God as life, which means that God is inherent in everything. So I wouldn't go to a plant and say, can I have more peace? That seems crazy to me. That's like praying to God, can I have more peace? Well, the answer is yes. So I say, make me see the peace in you
Mhm.
so that I see the peace in me. Like when I look at a plant, I see perfect peace. It's not fighting, there's no resistance, it's well cared for, its innate intelligence expresses. I don't go to the one plant and say, tomato plant, become my cucumbers. I, like for me, spiritual teaching has become very simplified so that I can understand and live it. I don't
Mhm.
ask anyone to agree.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you come to be Reverend Danielle Randall? Where did you come from? What's your story? Well, I know we drop our story, but what happened? How did you get here?
I got here by, well, the truth is, I was working in a nightclub, as you know, and I was really struggling with trying to be so many things to so many people. And I didn't know I was looking for God, but what I realized is God was looking for me.
Mhm.
And so, in that experience of working nights and days, I think it was the only place God could have my attention. And so I met another.
You wrote the book on it. I met God in a nightclub.
I I did because it's a, like, for me it's a beautiful story that says, again, like, I was cashiering at Cheetah nightclub, so the one in the songs. It's not like a place that I was like, oh no. we were, we were doing the thing.
Yeah.
And right next to me was this beautiful woman who was an expression of God's love. And I honestly didn't even know what was wrong with her. And that's how I saw it. She was happy and joyful, and people sought her wisdom. And I was like, what do you have? Like, what? Because I have to ask, of course. And, and she said, well, if I tell you, then you can't unknow. And I thought, I
Sounds
mean, like, what?
right.
I challenge on, spill the tea.
Right. What are we in the Matrix or something? You can't tell me, Oracle? Yeah, yeah.
And so she started throwing all these big O words around, God is omnipotent and omnipresent. And I'm like, what? I need the dictionary for this. Girl, I don't know what the hell omnipotent means. I don't know what the hell omnipotent means. Sounds terrible. What do you mean? And it's like, then, so we just talked. And as we began to talk, I think you do this every day when you sit in the light.
Mm.
The light really does call you. And
Mm-hmm.
the longer you sit in the light, the more you feel like I'm missing something, because the light feels good, right? The lightness of your heart, of your mind, of your spirit, of your beingness. And so I sat there truly, like in the middle of the night, in the darkest hours, doing the most random thing, taking cash out a window. And she yapped about God and corrected my ideas by giving me new ideas. And from that, I studied with her for 3 years, and then she died. Imagine.
Do you think she was now that I'm hearing this story in this way, and I've heard this before, yet it's landing on me differently now. Do you think she was an angel of some kind, a super?
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She was, in her words, I was her charge.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
And it was real. Like, this woman poured every ounce of, excuse me, everything she knew into me, and whether I wanted it or not. I mean, she kept me on the phone at night for hours and hours and hours, giving me law and principle. And I was like, I'm sleeping. I can't even hear you. And she's like, that's fine. It'll be in there when you need it. And
Yeah.
I was like, eyes rolling back in my head on the couch, like, God, let me sleep.
All right.
Like, I have to go. No, you can't go. I'm like, I have to. And so I
You
really do
asked for
believe.
it, right? You asked for it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
don't you, like, I think you probably understand this. Truth seeks an outlet, right? So I don't know who she was or what she was. I just know that she was there for me, and she very much felt like a angelic presence
Yeah.
that had a stream of truth that needed to express itself. And I was the fool sitting next to her who asked the question, who then had to take the bag. And then
And
when she died, I said, what am I going to do with this? What the hell am I doing with this? Which then sent me off to Inner Visions, for which I didn't even know what I was signing up for. So you talk
well, you
about,
didn't know what we were signing up for.
no, I mean, I literally did not know. Like, I didn't know who Ianla was. I did not know what I was doing. I did a color meditation, followed 3 signs, filled out a form, sent a check, and the next thing I know, I was signed up for something, and I was like, oh my gosh. Because I think if I knew,
Get myself into
I
in
had
the
no
best.
idea.
Like, yeah, yeah.
Do you remember that bus ride to Omega? I had no idea what I was doing on that bus. I was
And you
like,
know what's funny? I wasn't on the bus because I drove at night. Coming,
oh,
I drove at night. And do you know Zakia was my roommate
oh, wow.
at summer intensive, first year summer intensive? Zakia was the first face of Intervisions I saw at like midnight. And guess why I got there
Oh,
so do doing for everybody else in the house? Do doing, just do doing. Oh, I got to do this and get the kids ready and get this and get the food and get all of that and get because I'm gonna be gone for a week. And just do doing.
oh, I thought for sure I had lost my mind. I'm like, I got that packing list, packed some white clothes. I never wore white. I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, what? Where do you buy white clothes? Like, I work in a nightclub. I wear black clothes. I wear white clothes. Maybe
And
I like color.
exactly. And you were in New York.
In
And
New York City. That's
yeah,
right.
and that's our uniform color is black in New York City. Like what?
I
White?
was like,
I don't think I had one white thing in my closet when I used to live in New York City. Not one white thing. I wouldn't buy
I
anything
don't
in New
own a
York.
white thing either. I had no idea.
Yeah.
They didn't even
After,
have Amazon then like this.
yeah. And after I went to a few spiritual things and I met Reverend Jim and whatnot, because Reverend Jim was the one that really gave me the nod because I put three schools in front of him. I said, Reverend Jim will give
Oh,
me these three, yeah. New Seminary in New York, the other one down in Virginia, the one he teaches at down in Virginia. Do you know the name of that?
oh, yeah, the Edgar Casey's. I don't know.
Yes,
No.
down in Virginia where he teaches, like a
Okay.
Unitarian or
Oh,
Unity, not Unity, it's something like that. Of course, it's New Thought with Reverend Jim, and then Intervisions. And he said, and I trusted Reverend Jim because Reverend Jim was my first like in-person metaphysical teacher that said things that actually stunned me. After reading all the books,
yeah,
just going to all these different events, and in spirituality, there's a lot of frou-frou people. So, they would have these like rainbow events. Remember, we had that big magazine, Pathways, in
yeah,
Maryland?
yeah,
I would go through there and see some event there and go to this event there. Like I was just going to everything that I could find. A lot of them were pretty frou-frou, because,
yeah.
spiritual people can be frou-frou. I think we're expected to be frou-frou. Maybe the more mystical it seems, the more people in the audience like, yet it has to work. It has to be practical.
I agree. I can't. I agree. I can't do you know unicorns anymore. I mean, I don't, there's a place for it. I don't mean to take away,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it doesn't look, you mentioned the perfect thing. I have a husband, I have a son, I have, to top it off, they're both ADHD. I mean, we're talking, things that are real. I have two businesses. I've had other businesses with other people. And those things, you can't show up as a unicorn. It does not help in those moments when you're trying to resolve conflict, when you're trying to find the love again, when you're trying to, continue to create, when you feel tired, when you feel broken, disappointed, whatever, angry. Like shitting a rainbow was not the answer for me. But God's will, right? And I'll tie it to it because for a long time I fought with this word, will.
Yeah.
Like, and I think like if you look at the definition of will, it's essentially, the like a predisposed outcome, right? If
Mm,
someone writes a will, they make a commitment to something that hasn't happened yet, right? They've left you money, property, a problem, doesn't matter. But so when you think about God's will and what God would have for me after we did all of what we did, which was truly, I think, the most, I mean, American Ninja Warrior of the spiritual world.
total
Um,
ninja. Yeah.
right?
Reverend Donovan
Total reset. Like,
total set. It was a complete breakdown of the old self, the old personality, the old paradigms, the old everything, and a reconstitution. That's what I call it for
yeah,
me. Reconstitution.
agreed.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I like to joke that Mama didn't have shows and whatnot when we were in Intervision. She was on us 24/7. And Spirit arranged it that way because they knew the work that we would do in the world.
I
4
feel
years
that.
straight, she was on
I
us.
feel that. We were like the only 4 years, I believe, that she was
On
covered.
us straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nonstop.
Right. So I don't feel like I was ordained by Intervisions. I feel like I was ordained by Eon Levanzan. And I
Wow.
think there's a distinction. I
Wow.
love Intervisions
I,
and I love all of the people contributing to it. But during that time at that, stage of my own development and ours, I sat in a class next to you where she taught it. And so again, like I just think that look, God's will for me to understand that there was a will, that there was like law and principle was pretty clear, because I was like really minding my own business, trying to do other stuff. I mean, I would have been a corporate whore for the rest of my life. Like, I
Yeah.
was thinking that'd be good.
You would have arrived, right?
I thought it was going to be good.
Yeah, I made it. 2 thumbs up. Is that Simran Singh in the? Is that Simran 1111 Simran? Let me know. Let me know. Okay. Going further. So you left the nightclub. You had the teacher for the 3 years. Then she died. Then you end up at Intervisions. And like, what did I get myself into? And then 4 years. And then what?
And then I got married and had a baby.
We came to your
And
wedding. I was thinking about your wedding the other day. I was
yeah,
walking down the street here in Mexico and I thought, I said, they did a wad on their wedding day.
I know, nutty.
Is amazing. So y'all owned a CrossFit gym.
We owned a CrossFit gym, that's right. And actually, my anniversary is coming up on the 20th. So it's the vibe is in the air. It's November 20th. But, we did that wedding that way because we had a new business and we truly did not feel at the time like we could take a day off. So what we did was invite everybody to join us in a celebration. And then we gave them what they signed up for, which was a workout. And
So good.
it was a beautiful expression of our love. Our sister, Reverend Cheryl, married us, and everyone thought I was crazy getting married outside in November.
Oh, it was so beautiful. We had on
I
our
think even Mama said to me, like, "Why are you getting married outside in November?" And I thought, well, why not? Like,
That's what I want to do.
15 minutes 15 minutes outside is not going to kill anybody. Like, it was beautiful. It was Needwood Lake. It was so just, again, nature. It was alive. It was great. So we did that, and we owned that gym for, I guess, 9 years of, dedication. And my son grew, and I finished my book during those years. And once I finished my book, I said, okay, like, I'm ready to do this in a different way. And it coincided with having, a small child for the years I wanted to be, home and doing things. I never stopped coaching or counseling. But after that, I moved to Florida and gave myself back to this work. And for the last 6 years, it's the only work I've done.
And what else are we going to do? Like, what are we going to go sit in somebody's cubicle? I mean, what the fuck else are we going to do?
I don't know. It doesn't matter if I try to, do something else. And it's funny, right? Because I'm aware that I can choose to do something else.
Yeah, we can.
I can. I don't feel like I'm not allowed to choose it.
We can definitely choose it. Yeah.
I just feel
Just
so.
when I try the things, I'm like, what am I doing? And then I just wind up,
Right.
just coming back to myself. Yeah.
Well, again, like if you're thinking about it in the context of God's will,
Yeah.
how is it that you come back to this work like you can't do anything else? And not literally, but figuratively.
I feel the love, and I just follow the love. I just follow the love. I want to write. So even when I haven't written, maybe days on end or what, I want to write, and I sit down and I write. So like, I don't ever just veer way off and don't come back. Like, the love is like this magnetic thing that brings me to my core and to my center. And it's so beautiful. I just follow the love. If I love it, I go that way. If I don't, and it's not like you said, that romantic love. It's not feelings.
No.
It's not feelings. It's beyond feelings. Yeah, right? The alignment.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the key. That's the will. Like, You already aligned yourself to love, right? You have the name, you have the embodiment, you've done the work, you know what the vibration of love is, and you know when it's present and you know when it's not. And so what I hear you say is that you consistently course correct back into alignment, God's will, alignment to a principle, to a truth, to something higher and greater than preference or whim, or, it's beyond desire. It's literally like truth. It's the
Yes.
truth of who you are. You are love. I can't imagine you doing anything else. I mean, you are, I can't, because of all of us, I feel like you truly live what you say. You follow the love.
Mm.
And you do it boldly and courageously, and I admire you and I watch you, and I just have like mad respect for who you are and what you will and will not let get in the way of that. It's a beautiful thing.
My God, thank you, sis. You bringing tears to my eyes. I'm telling you, because the behind the scenes of it. Like Danielle knows stuff about me that not many people know, right? We know things about each other in this journey and what we had to give up. And we didn't have to give it up. We gave it up because we were like, oh, if I release this, there's something even better. So I had to bring up that sentence again that you said, let me not make another will. I think that's what I did. I think I just gave up on trying to come up with brighter ideas than God. I think that's what I did. It's like, okay, I got a ton of bright ideas.
Yeah.
None of them seem to be better than love. None of them seem to be better than
No, no. And we don't give up anything,
no.
truly. Except the struggle. That's why I say, like, when does the struggle end? When you end it. I can't. Most of my work, has been really in the one-on-one world where I have clients and I stay with them for long periods of time and really dig deep into those transformations. And it's, for me, it's the watching of when the struggle ends and when the light goes off, that it is senseless. Why would you continue to beat your head against the wall when you can just stop? You don't have to do that. I'm talking to myself. Most of the time, I just say to myself, like, you don't have to do this. You know that, right? Like, you don't have to continue to fight the current. You can swim with the current. It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. It's like the juice of life when you find that, Christ called it a pearl of high value. When you find that, right? And that pearl of high value is
Yeah,
house, right? Consciousness house. It's in your
yeah,
house, right?
that's right.
What do you do with people? I want to make sure we cover that before you go take care of your son and your husband and your day and your work. And I'm so happy that you're
You
giving
selfishly, I'm going to take care of my body next. Like,
how
I do not,
right.
that is my other non-negotiable. It's my
Mm,
body and it must move. So I am committed to moving my body. I have a personal trainer because I need a babysitter.
yeah.
I am willing to admit that to myself. I can tell you I'm going to go do something, but I will not. So that
Oh,
appointment keeps me accountable and keeps my body moving.
I love that.
And again, like, you know, I see that as the demonstration of truth. Like, a body in motion stays in motion.
Yes, it
That's
is.
not just the body, but anything in motion, right? And so I value this house so that this house has a place to express. At least while I'm here, I'm going to take care of it. So it's part of who I am. I like these parts of consciousness where you can take something and make it real for yourself, that it's an investment in who you are, right? These are the things that matter to me. So those are the things that I do with people. I take them through finding out what they're willing to invest in and what they aren't. And just because
Where,
my piece,
like,
well,
for someone who's watching this and like, what do you mean, like investing in, and like, what does that mean, like in your life,
Hmm.
where how you're investing in your life?
Okay. So, for example, Authorized Love is my one on one coaching practice. And it literally translates to giving power to love in all situations, under all conditions, and at all times.
Oh, woo! Can you say that again?
Yes.
Mm.
Authorized love means giving power to love in all situations, under all conditions, and at all times. There are no back doors for me. Again, it's authorized love is a directive. It's also a prayer. It's also a theology, right? So I distill things to the place where at least I can remember it, because
You're
a
great at
lot
that.
of
You're very good
well, a
at that.
lot of words don't resonate for me. Like the more the words, the more difficult it is for me to embody it. That's me. So I'm a wonderful translator. My clients are neither spiritual nor not spiritual. They are human, and they come, and whether they're of the highest consciousness or just being exposed to consciousness, I'm a beautiful translator. And so I literally bridge the gap between this, theory. I think in another life I'd be a theologian and be like out
Oh,
there just,
oh.
theorizing things, because I enjoy that speculation and that process. But how does that help you today? How do you move past? How do you create closure? How do you go through transitional times? How do you shut everything down and open it back up? How do you give yourself permission to love when you really don't want to,
Mm.
right? How do you move through fear? It's like I've taken the time to learn how to do that for myself, which makes me imperfect in so many ways that it's beautiful. I'm not the perfect embodiment of anything except the willingness to get back to love, to get
Mm.
out of the way, to take a minute, So I have a physical representation of that for me. And for some people, they may see it as like a giving up. But when I can't give love, power in the situation, under the condition, at that time, I just bow my head and close my eyes for a moment. And I've conditioned my body to know that that means
Mm.
give power to love.
Mm.
Shut up now. Say no more. Argue less. It doesn't matter. Step back. Like, if I still myself long enough, what I learned was that love was there waiting right here.
Right
Right
there,
here. Yes, you know where it is. It's
right
right
here. But
here.
I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I call it a PBG, pause, breathe, go within. Pause,
Oh, I love it.
and then you can get back home, like we were taught. Get back to God in seconds.
That's
That's
right.
seconds.
100%. And I
Mhm.
think that's my biggest talent, quite honestly. I mean,
Mm.
and I would imagine that most of us feel like that. No matter what's going on, I'm not more than a second away from where I need to go to get out of the conflict. You can't solve a conflict from the conflict. So the only way to reestablish some element of peace or truth or, God's will is to stop the madness. And I think it's the hardest thing to do. So I'm not suggesting this is an easy thing to do. I just suggest it's a worthy thing to do. It's a worthy work. It's a worthy practice, right? I mean, you could take any ACIM lesson as a, what do you know, like Shoots and Ladders? Remember that game?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You
Oh, yeah.
have 307 now shoots or ladders home.
Mm.
Take one, get on one and go home. Like, do you know what I mean? That's
Mm.
how I use these resources to make my life more me, less ish.
Drama, conflict, not getting along, blah, blah, blah. I mean, who
And
needs it? After a while, it's like, who needs it? I have a very peaceful life. There's no way I would go back to doing what I was doing before. I didn't know. That
I
me
didn't
didn't know what this me knows.
exactly.
Just didn't know.
So I will say, I want to share this other piece. So after doing this work in the one-on-one format for such a long time, I think now it's like 20 years. I started off as a psychic spiritual counselor.
You really took the bag from the lady in the nightclub, okay?
I did because I would be in the nightclub at night getting all this truth and teaching. Then I'd go to my office job and bring my oracle cards and test the truth and teaching. I'm like, and it was just like, I don't know. I just felt like that's what needed to happen. So on my lunch hour, I was giving readings to see how true what she told me at night was. I'm like,
It was like you had theory and practicum together.
the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And so,
because a lot
yeah,
of people have the theory. They don't have the practicum.
that's right.
Because as soon as you receive it, you need to give it to someone, even if you give it to them imperfectly. I found that that has helped me so much in being able to integrate what I received. Because sometimes I receive something, I don't even know what I received until I start giving it. And I'm like, oh, this is good stuff. Now we see what we received when we give, giving and receiving a one. Continue.
Yes, no, and I honestly can't find a better demonstration than you. Like, I truly respect and admire you for that embodiment. I only need think your name to think like the courage that you demonstrate for all of us. That, I mean, look, I'm not saying I don't do it, but you boldly move in the world that way. You know, you are visible to more than a one-on-one. You are, not to diminish what I do and the way I do it, but there is a vibration and frequency of embodiment that you are exceptional at, and this is what we're talking about. This is one of them. This You're writing, you continue to share, you're teaching, you ingest and you reshare. You know, you do this on a daily basis, and we're so blessed to have you in the world doing it. It's And the bridge, I mean, think about the bridge you're creating, the Christian witches bridge. I mean, love was not different for the Christians as it was for the witches. What happens is we decided that there was a right way to love and that you weren't doing it. And here you are reminding the world that that's BS, that the love is the love. And I truly get there any way you can, like get there. You know, it's important. I don't know. I take it back to, again, conflicting wishes cannot be my will. Okay, so God can't give you something and then say to you, but you probably shouldn't share that. You can't ingest truth and create a conflict and go, that probably won't work for you. That's just for me.
Okay, well, this is reminding me of, as you speak about this, the Instagram spiritual people that we were talking about the other
Oh,
day and howling at the other day. So we would think that um, spirituality looks like rainbows and pooping unicorns and pooping rainbows and wearing crystals and spinning around in a circle, and then you're cleansed, you're clear. And if it doesn't feel good, that's where it's aborted. And I know your clients can't feel good the whole time that they're doing what they're doing. And we didn't feel good the whole time we were doing what we were doing. So
why does that even have to be a part of it? It seems so silly to me to believe that you are. I mean, I'm an emotional intelligence specialist. Like, I absolutely have dedicated my life to understanding and you know, let's say, unearthing emotion because it gets a bad rap. It literally, like, this is what we're talking about. So, love encompasses fear. It's not the antidote to fear. It's not like
mm,
there's not it's a both and, not an either or. And I feel like even a lot of the teachings say you're either in love or you're in fear. Well, why can't I be in fear and love go with me? That's insane to believe otherwise. Where does love go when you're in fear? Doesn't leave the building. And love is big enough to hold us in our fear. Love is, see, truth is big enough, right? So I thought about this for a long time after doing this like intense level of work for all these years. And I asked God to give me something that I could share with the world that would be a sip rather than a whole pot of coffee. and I get that. I mean, truly not everybody can sit with me. I'm okay with that. That's just part of who and what I am and what I do. But I wanted something that would allow me to share sips to maybe perhaps be a little more courageous like you. And oddly enough, I made a deal with the Holy Spirit. You give me this, I'll give you that. I gave the Holy Spirit, I know, I gave the Holy Spirit meat. The Holy Spirit gave me space. So actually, I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan at this point, but I will change my behavior to remind me of my commitment to holding space to things. So I'll abstain from things, fast from things. And in those experiences, I know that I am being reminded of what I'm doing. It's a reminder to myself. So I gave the 2020, once COVID happened, I gave 2020 to the Holy Spirit. And I held that space until January 2021. And in January 2021, I gave birth to one belief a day, which is
because your creations are just so, the word that's coming to me is pure and true. That's how they land on me. That's how I energetically experience them, as
thank
very
you.
pure and true. Yeah, just
I
like
call it boring. I'm like, it's
boring, right?
it is. And I say that because, again, I really believe my purpose here is to simplify what it is you need to have and be who you say you want to be. And the more layers I add to it, the more complexity I add, the further away I get. So I do the thing that says distill it down again, make it clear, make it plain. Here's the rule: if you can't pray it to a plant, shut up, don't pray it. Not the right prayer. Like, hey tree, give me $1 million. Okay, but I've got trees here. You know what it says? Nada.
No.
And if I say, hey tree, flourish me, show me what it means to grow in strength and stature. Show me what it means to express, to transform, to live and to die and to be reborn again. I like, wow, my whole body, I could cry. And I'm praying to the tree.
Yeah. And it's
like, it is. It's like, okay, so what do? Oh, I be still and I be strong and I allow and I move and I live in Florida, so even in a hurricane, I can regenerate. All those things that are real and true about me. Right? All of God's will doesn't fade in the midst of a hurricane. So I do. I feel like my purest, idealist self that likes the truth for the truth did create and give birth to a new spiritual modality, meaning that I've combined several modalities and distilled them into the best practices that I feel can get you from A to B in consciousness. And so I created a systematic way to elevate in consciousness. So you don't have to swim around wondering what the hell comes next. It's literally a system. It takes about less than 10 minutes a day to be in the system.
When I heard
And
you, I was like, wow, the world needs that.
I think that we do.
Yeah.
I think we do. Some of us do. And if you're good at doing it without it, then that's fine too. I don't have any issue there. But I want
Yeah.
to offer it to the people who need things to be a little bit more demystified, that they can get into. It's an audio that you listen to. And I've created a very simplified digital course as a complimentary service that you can or don't have to use. But in 10 minutes a day, you can elevate in consciousness and experience a distinction between where you were. You can pinpoint where you were, and you can then look at where you are. And there is a way to say, oh no, I was here and now I'm here in consciousness. Do you
Oh,
play in David Hawkins' levels of
oh my
consciousness?
goodness, I love him. Power versus Force.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this system is based on that theory,
Oh.
and in part, I mean, of course, it's in part 100 others. But what it does is it can take you from the level, like the youngest level, right, of consciousness to the most mature and robust level of consciousness. So we can go from guilt and shame to joy in 10 minutes.
Woo! Bam, give it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the challenge for people is that they can't sustain 10. It's not
Yeah.
that they can't get to 10. Most people can get to 10. If you were like, there's a gift you can give each person that would take them in seconds from their pain and suffering to a 10, right? We've seen this.
Yeah.
But
Straight to
how
the
do you sustain it?
right.
So this system elevates you in micro doses so that your subconscious learns to sustain a new level. And at
Mm,
every level, you're able to sustain a new level.
mm.
So,
Because
yeah,
if your subconscious is not changed, you're not changed. Forget it. Forget it. Get in there and
yeah,
change that substrate. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'm microdosing the subconscious in how to handle your ish.
Mm.
And and truthfully, I don't even know that you know that that's happening, except that you end up experiencing things that really show you and you feel different. You are the demonstration. It's an open-ended process that anchors you in a new consciousness. So I'm super excited about that. That is my most recent contribution to the world.
Do you have a website yet?
Yes, it
Try to
does.
pull it up.
Yes, it's onebeliefaday.com.
All right, we're pulling it up right now. And family, everyone go to it. Okay. One belief a day.com. That's for you, Danielle. Simple. One belief a day. You know, people make these very mystical names. The
I
ascension
know. I told you.
of the mystical consciousness level zenith school. You know, we're
I know.
spiritual people are good at coming up with stuff like that.
I admire those people. I've got like respect for them. I'm like, damn, that looks good. What is that? And then, of course, I go digging and I'm like, oh, it's great marketing.
Yeah, it's great marketing.
I
And
would wish I had a little more of that, but it's okay. Like, I am who I am.
oh my god, I love this
Like the
channel.
plain Jane of spirituality. I'm like, okay, so we're just going to change our beliefs. We're going to educate our emotional self. We're going to microdose the subconscious in how to think, not what to think. This course does not teach you what you need to think. It teaches you how to think so that after you complete a course, you can actually move through any other issues if you like, because your subconscious is learning how to think.
Ah, look at you.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
love
I
it.
am. And if you go to, just while we're here quickly, if you click on one of the courses,
Is that
let's
where
see.
I'm supposed to go? All courses?
Yeah,
And then
yeah, click on, let's see, click on, oh, I wonder if it's not even here. That's okay. Um, There is, yeah, these are the courses that are available currently. There are more coming. So we have a course on manifesting abundance. We have a course on living in divine union, is creating sustainable love with another human being, like calling in love. Um, and what it does is it really does take you through every level of consciousness, clearing and creating. Quantum genius beliefs is what you get from doing this course. It's a level, like a level 10 is what I refer to it as, but in Hawkins scale, it's the bliss level of belief. If I were to live in bliss with this belief, what would that belief need to be? Right? And so I take that belief and then I break it down to what belief is sustainable at level 1, what version of that, what version at level 2, what version at level 3, right? So we build until we get to the level 10 expression, and the level 10 expression is a endless expression. It never ends.
Yeah, because
it just goes on and on and on. And so and Overwhelm to Ease is a course for dismantling stress.
woo,
Essentially.
I have healthcare professionals on here. I love that.
Yeah, there's a course specifically designed to support the chronic fatigue and burnout that they experienced. Not just, overall, but more specifically, we have abused that system for so long right now with everything that happened in the world, that we created one for specifically for them, that's written in a language that would serve them well. So
this is audio. You just pop it on for 10 minutes and listen to it. How does it work?
Yeah, it's an audio. I think most people will think it's a meditation. They'll think it's a guided meditation. That's okay with me. It is, in fact, an audio course. So you are going to be sitting in what I call optimal receptive consciousness. And so that state has a body position. We do really define many things. There's using brainwave frequency. There's somatic conditioning. We are right and left brain coherence. So in these states, you're most receptive. So some part of you is going to listen, kind of like me being on the phone all night, not listening, right? Like some part of me retained. And so what I know is that we drop you into that theta state very quickly. You are held there by your body position. You are anchoring into the body so that there's that somatic experience. You're developing emotional intelligence with the guided part. There's a dialogue that happens for you, and it's a beautiful thing. So there is a free experience available to you. When you go to this website and you say download the free mini audio course, there is a course called Getting Unstuck. It is a single audio. It has a sample of the inner work that comes on a worksheet.
Because I love it. Yes, continue.
And so it's a sample of what would come in terms of the digital course, because there's a back end. And right there, you see that you don't even have to go any further. You can simply listen right here.
Right here. I'm going to just let
right
this play.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just so you, Danielle. Straight to the point, straight up, no chaser.
One Belief a Day presents Change Your Beliefs, Change Your Life for Good.
Oh, I love this. I'm listening to this today. Okay, continue.
So you can listen to that, and that is designed as almost like a snippet of, because it's one level, but it is a multi-level sample. So if you were to buy a full audio course, you get 10 levels broken down, and that's so that it can dismantle at very specifically each level of consciousness, whatever residue is in the way. In this one, Getting Unstuck, we are still taking you from a level 1 to a level 10, but it isn't going to microdose. It's designed to unearth enough so you can move. So it's an energy mover.
Oh, nice, nice. Love it. So
Yeah.
now, question: can anyone work with you if they're watching this and they want to work with you one on one? Are you accepting clients, or what is the best way for people to connect with you if they want Danielle?
Yeah, of course. Well, there's two ways to connect with me. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me at my website, Authorized Love, or One Belief a Day. All of them are viable paths to getting to me.
Otherwise,
And
love that.
yes, I am taking clients. I'm also getting ready to offer some new ways to work with me. So whether it's through, even if you just need help selecting an audio course, if that calls to you, I am
Mhm.
open to having a conversation, helping you select that course and finding out if it's right for you. I do custom audio courses. They have been some of the most amazing transformations.
Like
Um,
with the person's name in it,
Not with
or
their name in it, but with their specific issue, right? Which is, so what happens is we do some private one-on-one work. I distill down to what the core issue is, and then I create the audio course to address that aspect of your consciousness that needs transformation, and then you do the work yourself.
oh, I love
So,
that. I
yeah.
love this audio. I love this audio because people can take it wherever they go, wherever they are. It's so practical. It's so in the moment accessible. That's what it feels like.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. Well, and, because I was a busy mom for a long time, and it's not that I'm not, but I didn't have time. We went from a 4-hour spiritual practice, which you may or may not still have. But as a mom to a newborn, and my kid didn't sleep for 5 years, 4 hours was out the window. Running
Yeah.
a business, being a mother, being a friend, a daughter, a wife, it just was too much for me to maintain. So I realized that there were some core things that needed to happen to maintain my level of consciousness. And so that's essentially what I did. I distilled it down and said, if you really want it, you can have it in 10 minutes.
And
If you
10
don't
minutes.
have 10 minutes, don't call me, because
If you
I'm
have
I
10 minutes, you don't love yourself. I don't know what's going on there.
if you don't
Yeah.
have 10 minutes, it's fine. Wherever you are in consciousness, you are, and you stay there. But if you
Yeah.
can't give or find or create 10 minutes, some point, maybe you will. But it is a 10-minute commitment, and it needed to be potent enough to make a difference. Because if it
Right.
doesn't make a difference in 10 minutes, then your 10 minutes has been essentially
Frittered away
all
or
that.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so some of the courses I've written that eventually will be available to everyone are um, becoming your own first priority.
Oh,
That
oh.
was huge. I wrote
It
it for a single
took
mom of three.
me decades to learn that. I'm just keeping an eye on the time too to
Yeah,
make sure you honor your time. You just
yeah.
let me know when you are, because I
Okay,
know
I know I can't be late to my meeting, to my
that's right.
workout. But yeah, so my own first priority is, again, like, it's a game changer,
Mm,
because we all think that we have to become a priority by giving ourselves like all of these things, right? This idea of self-care. But self-care is putting self first here,
mm,
putting self first here, right? Your mind,
mm,
your heart, your spirit, and then
mm,
acting from that place, because then
mm.
everything else that follows is self-caring. So it's a beautiful
Woo!
transformation.
If you say that again,
Can we just hit replay?
you see practical, my
if
sis.
you
You see
if you
how practical she
press
is. I tell them to press rewind. Family, this is the moment where you press rewind, okay? A few times. I
But I
love
mean, but that is the truth. If you
that.
are putting yourself first in thought, first
Mhm.
in spirit,
Yeah.
then you are first in body, like your embodiment. So then I can make breakfast for my family, and that be self care. I
Mm.
think we just attribute self care to an actionable, selfish kind of activity, which I don't have a problem with. I think it's beautiful. You can do that. But, we lock a lot of people out because we have a financial constraint on that. We have a time constraint on that. We have a resource constraint. Do you know what I mean? But I don't believe that that's true. I believe that when I recognize that I matter, that my inherent value is never in question.
In your life, you
That's
are
right.
that matters in your
That's
life.
right.
Yeah.
I matter to me. I know my inherent value. Whatever I do from that is self-caring. It is self-loving, right? Like it's, again, I live very outside the external and focused on the internal condition being the thing that dominates my action. So that course was beautiful. I mean, and that's probably the next one I'm going to make available because it's so beautiful. It's so transformative, especially for, I'm not saying men don't put themselves first, but especially for women who, all the conditions we've been taught that keep us pleasing others and looking for value elsewhere by what we can achieve or what we do or how often we do it. And so, so it's beautiful. And that came out of doing work with someone and realizing, oh no, your core issue is you just don't ever come first, ever.
Never,
in your own
ever.
Consciousness. Never. You're not even an option. You're not an option. You're option me off the table.
Wow. Like I'm always not the priority.
Right. So how are you going to be in a life where you are completely absent?
Wow. You can't manifest anything epic or fulfilling. How can you bring forth something like a one belief a day or authorized love if you
I don't
don't?
even know how you get through the day. Like every day is a struggle, right? So again, like I do look for core things. I think that's different for me. I look for the paradigms that are holding these beliefs in place. And I'm like, well, let's just pull this pin and see what happens. And that's my joy. I love to read the mind map and see what's there and see what else we can create. So that's it in a nutshell. I mean, again, available for questions, conversation. You can always email me or hit me in the DM somewhere and let me know that you came from my beautiful sisters community. And that will make it that much easier for me to opt in and be present with you. But I love you, Reverend Valerie Love. I love you at the core of my being.
We've done the ugly cry so much. Thank you.
I know, but that's what I know. The love just doesn't change.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't.
I love you as well. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm getting a clearer. This is when you spoke of tree, it so matched because what your genius, we have to be around people that can see our genius, right? Your genius, in addition to all your geniuses, because we have multiple geniuses, is that you can be that tree. You can root deep in and you can soar really high. And not many people can do that. Like a lot of spiritual people, they can go high and they can talk to angels and they can talk to ascended masters. They don't have the depth. They're not rooted into something real and true. And then some people are rooted into what's real and true. They're too visceral and boulder like that they can't lift up and access high dimensions of consciousness. I know you know what I'm talking about.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I can go, I know that I was made to go to swim in the deep water.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that. Like it doesn't, I'm not afraid of your pain. I'm not afraid of mine. I don't have any heat on it. It's as much me as is my joy. And because of it, it's not in the way. It doesn't, you know what I mean? So I do root deep. I swim deep. I love it there. Because when you come up, right?
Baby.
It's right. It's like, I don't know. I get the image of like, the jumping whales in the ocean. Like they can go down, but they can be high. And the truth is sometimes we can only sustain little sips of the high. And then we judge ourselves for being back in the depth of the waters. But we don't have to do that. there's a way to navigate that space and to be at peace in it. Like I said, I don't really care what's going on. My peace is not negotiable. It's mine. You can't have it unless I give it to you, and I'm not giving you my peace. Like,
because I'm giving it to myself, and I would be peaceful.
Right.
Yes, enough for everyone in the situation, because that's really all that any situation needs. One person. Remember when Reverend Deborah said, "Bless you, Chinaza." Remember when Reverend Deborah told us one day, all 10 of us, she said, "Y'all cannot all be crazy at the same time." Do you remember when she had that talk? Like we were all crazy at the same time. She was like, "Hey, y'all cannot all be crazy at the same." One person needs to be praying. And I got the God bumps because it's like Chinaza is right here. Because when she said that, I don't think from that point on were we all crazy all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, we our whole line is very good at zipping things up and handling it. We're real good at that. And we did. We handled it. We weren't all crazy at the same time from that moment on. I don't think. Do you think?
I don't think so either. No, we were very good at taking directive.
Yeah, we were good at that. I think our good girl helped us with that.
I think so. I think so. We definitely all had some aspect of that made it, but it made it robust for us because, again, when you can get still and listen, I feel like we got so much. Like I think I could spend a lifetime expressing what we got and I wouldn't do it justice. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's in you, it's in me. It's a living sacred text, right? We are a living sacred text of our own kind. It's a beautiful thing. I thank God for the experience, for my time with my sisters, for my time with my community. It just, look at what we get to do now. Like, look at what we get to do now.
Because we did some shit that very few people on the planet are willing to do. And that's okay, because we're made so strong. We can take one for the team. We can do it.
That's right.
Right? And then you can just and give it to people in 10 minutes. Like, you did years to be able to give someone something in 10 minutes.
Oh, one belief a day is 20 years of study and dedication and expression.
It took 20 years for you of going deep to be able to create something that someone can get in 10 minutes. Now, if that's not God, I don't know what's God.
Right. Well, 10 minutes that actually works, of course.
Not just any minute.
Not 10 minutes of my recent download from the universe. Like 10 minutes of distilled wisdom, truth, practice, and process. That is the distinction for me.
That's the distinction. And that they're getting the vibrational, they're getting the energetic essence of what you crafted and created. Okay, I know
I'm going to leave you with the funniest comment.
Okay.
I did not want to be the voice of the audio.
And it's perfect.
Listen, no, I don't know. I don't like hearing my own voice.
Well, no, that's why I don't listen to my own voice. I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible.
Even my sister, my biological sister, so my greatest ally and my greatest enemy, she listened to it, and the biggest compliment she gave me was, "Doesn't sound like you."
She couldn't get apart. She couldn't criticize.
She goes, "That was great. Doesn't sound like you at all." I was like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, clearly. Okay, I said, well, the truth is, I'm not in conflict. I feel the same way. I'm like, so I know that the vibration is there because I do know that no matter what I did, I am the voice. So there it is. And I just love you.
Oh, sis, I love you. I adore you. Hugs, hugs, hugs. Thank you for stopping by and sharing yourself. Wow, you have an open door. Y'all all know this, all my sisters. You have an open door. Come anytime. We love you.
Thank you.
Right. Go work your butt, honey.
I'm going to get my butt kicked.
Love you. Peace.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Oh my God. That is Reverend Danielle Randall, my sister, my love, one of our 10 that are on our line. There are 10 of us. One is in heaven realms, and you just got to experience one of our 10. And we are freaking so grateful to have each other. Like, I know I'm on a line of powerhouses like whom you just saw. You can't take us all out. You can't. You cannot. I know who I walk with. I walk with some powerful, visible and invisible allies that we locked arms a long time ago. You can't take us out. Not with what we're doing, and not because of the personality or the lower self, because of what we agreed to do on a soul level for self that bleeds to all. We're not here to save the world. We're here to save ourselves, right? Save yourself. That does save the world because you are the world. That is A Course in Miracles. Listen, 307 with Reverend Danielle Randall. Reach out to her. You can find her on all the platforms. And I'm going to link One Belief a Day up below as well as Authorized Love, her beautiful creations in the world. Look my sister up. She'll hook you up. She'll get you right. And when I say hook you up, I mean she'll get you right. Okay? I love you. Have a beautiful day. God bless you. Kaisi out. Peace.